All right, well, should we put in gear?
Let's go.
Alrighty. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Road Noise. I'm glad you're hanging out with us. And hey, if you find these conversations just fun or enlightening or just encouraging, do us a huge favor if you would. Hit the like button if you're here on YouTube or rate us if you're over on Spotify or Apple. Just give us a 5 star. It just helps let other people know that we're here and around, and it's a great way for just these conversations get more visibility. And hey, if you're brand new to the conversation, welcome aboard. We're glad to have you. And uh, tonight we're way deep into season 6 of these conversations, and I think it's by far the longest season. Those first couple seasons were real sequential in time, starting from just kind of reflecting on Dad's childhood bringing up and his call to ministry, and then
Mhm.
those years leading up to ministry and those early years. And now we're kind of in season 6. We're just kind of like meandering through the timeline. So the timeline is a whole lot less important in these conversations, but it's been fun to just kind of connect in some of these stories, Dad. And some of them are familiar to me, and some of them are brand new. So I'm looking forward to where we're headed tonight.
All right. Well, let's head to camp. You know, I'm part of a men's Bible study group, and this morning, as we met, one of the gentlemen shared a part of his testimony in the fact that it was in 1973 when he was, I believe he said, 13 years old, that's when he really put the nail in that said, okay, I am a born again child of God as of this particular day. And that all took place at a camp. And I have said for a long time that I believe more can be accomplished in 1 week of camp than an entire year of Sunday school.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I
truth in
mean,
that.
when you can get a kid out of his normal environment and concentrate truth of God's word into this individual's life for an entire week, that gives God a lot of opportunity to work in this person's life. And that's where a lot of these lifetime spiritual decisions and commitments are made, is at camp. Well, anyway, so I thought I'd like to share a story that happened at a camp right here in Michigan. Um, I'd been speaker at this camp, I don't know how many times over the years. I loved going there. They always seemed to get the very best counselors. They had kids that came from several different states to be there. They had a waiting list. Um, they could only take so many kids. And so over the years, they would contact me and say, hey, Sheldon, next year we want to add another session of elementary age kids. Can you stay and do another week? Or one year we did 2 sessions in 1 week. We had one group of kids in the morning, another group of kids in the afternoon, and the one group of kids had to commute because they were only allowed to house so many kids at the camp. Well, anyway, so a great camp. I just really loved being there. And so this story takes place as I'm there. Now, typically at a camp, I'm doing 2 chapels a day, one in the morning and one in the evening. And this story takes place the very first day of camp. The kids got there in the morning. We have the general session, go over all the rules and everything, and then they turn it over to me for the first chapel session. Well, after I do a program using the gospel magic and juggling and everything, it is certainly not uncommon that a group of kids want to be my friend. They want to hang around the speaker for the week. And I don't have a problem with that because I feel that, hey, the more time I can pour into these kids, the better the chance is that I'll have hopefully a huge impact on their life. Well, anyway, so morning session went great. We're off to a good start. Um, then there's lunch after that, and then the kids are out playing games and so forth. And next thing you know, it's time for the evening meal. And then we'll go from there right directly back to the chapel for the evening chapel service. And there was one of these kids that had been following me all day long. I mean, this kid was like a magnet on a piece of steel. I mean, I couldn't shake him. But if I had to give this kid a one word description, it would have to be homely. He was just, I don't know, who was the character on the Peanuts? That,
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
the kid that drug the blanket around or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Anyway,
Like it wasn't Linus, was it? It was there was yeah, Linus.
I don't know, whoever the kid was, this was his twin. Okay. He just had a homely look. And I don't know if that had to do with the ragged clothes that he wore or his hair that was just in constant disarray, or was it the fact that he was perhaps the dirtiest kid I have ever seen? I mean, it didn't look like this kid had had a bath in several weeks, if not months. The dirt was literally caked on this guy. And like I said, he's the one that glued himself to me for the entire day. All right, so we're all standing outside in line, and the counselors are up front. You got to kill time as the kitchen crew gets everything ready and so forth. And so the counselors are leading these kids in camp songs. And I love going to camp, and I love the counselors because every year some counselor shows up with a new camp song that I've never heard before.
Right.
And some of these songs are so ridiculous,
Yep.
but they're so funny, and the kids love them. And so by the end of the week, you got a handful of songs that they're constantly wanting to sing. Just repeat the same old goofy thing,
Yeah.
but it's just fun stuff.
And if you
So
are
the
hanging out with us in this conversation so far, leave a comment of which is your favorite camp song.
oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there'll be someone list one that I've not heard yet.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know where they come up with these things. Maybe with the internet these days, you can come up with a bunch
Yeah.
of these goofy things.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, and
but anyways,
it's
like
Pigpen, by the way. I think that's the name you're looking for.
Pigpen, that's the guy.
The dirty Charlie
Yes,
Brown character, that was Pigpen.
yes, of course it's Pigpen. I mean,
Yeah.
what else would you call the
Yeah.
dirty kid like that? All right, so we're talking about Pigpen's twin here. Yeah, and I don't remember his name, and even if I did, I wouldn't say it. So, kid, if you're listening to this, if you can identify yourself, just go ahead and do that. But no one else will ever know who you were. Anyway, so finally the word comes that, okay, the counselors can come in and take their seats. They go to the table, and then the kids are dismissed by the camp director. One group at a time goes in, and once the kids go in, they can sit wherever they want. And so I'm in, and I'm at a table all by myself until the doors open and kids come in. And remember, they just met me that morning and kind of, I'm their favorite. So it didn't take but a few seconds, and my table is totally full. And wouldn't you know it, right straight across from me at the table is Mr. Pigpen himself, which should not have come of any surprise, but nevertheless, he's right across the table from me. Well, they make all the announcements and everything, and it's time to eat. And this camp was really kind of cool in the fact that they had a serving line, and you can go through there and so forth. But they would always bring some things to the table. And one of the things that they brought to the table on this very first evening meal was fresh baked homemade buns. I mean, just beautifully golden brown right out of the oven, huge plate of them. They set this plate of bread down on the table, and this no sooner hits the table and it is empty. I mean, these hands are coming from every direction, and
Yep.
everyone's got, and yes, I got mine, and it was delicious. They had the butter there on the table, and yeah, you can just imagine. So here's all these kids and myself, but there's really only enough for one per person. And then we had the rest of our meal, and we're sitting around. And anyway, so I always want to get to know the kids best I can, and so I ask them, what's your first name and what town do you come from? And remember, these kids are coming from several different states, and so that's always interesting to kind of get an idea of where they're coming from and so forth. Well, towards the end of the meal, someone from the kitchen makes the announcement that, hey, if you'd like seconds, come on up, and we'll give you more. Well, this kid, Mr. Pigpen, had scarfed his food down instantly. I mean, like I said, he's sitting straight across from me, and I'm thinking, this poor kid hasn't had anything to eat in a long time. I mean, he ate that entire plate of food like he was starving to death. And when they made the announcement that there were seconds, he was the first one up from my table, and I'm guessing he might have been the first one up to the serving line, which was behind me. Well, anyway, so I'm sitting there, and some of the kids were gone, but before long, and it didn't take long, there's this crusty, dirty hand reaches over my shoulder and hands me another one of these fresh baked rolls.
I wonder whose hand that might be.
At about the same time, I hear Mr. Pigpen say, "Here, I got one for you because I knew you liked them too."
That's awesome.
And with that, he goes around to his side of the table, and I don't know, but what he might have had his gone before he even sat down. Meanwhile, he's looking right at me, and I'm looking right at him. And all I could think to say was, "Thank you, young man. That was very thoughtful of you."
Yep.
And with that, I took a great big bite out of it. Now, normally, I might have had some reservations about eating food that I knew did not come from the most sanitary conditions. But at this point, I'm thinking, this little bit of dirt that might have come off on his hands onto this roll is not going to hurt me near as bad as me not eating it after he made such pains to go get me one.
Yeah.
That would have crushed this kid.
Yeah.
So what's a little bit of dirt? All right, so I've often heard that dirt won't kill you.
Yep.
And I'm now 76 years old. And that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't think it's affected me one bit. But that reminds me of Matthew chapter 10, verse 42, where Jesus is talking about, hey, if all you have to give is a cup of cold water,
Mm-hmm.
given in my name. And I can't help believe that this kid, his heart was intent on blessing me.
Yeah.
So my challenge to you is, what kind of blessing are you to somebody?
Yeah.
Dirty hands and all.
Dirty hands and all.
Or if somebody has dirty hands, are you willing to allow them to be a blessing to you?
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that God doesn't wait until we're all cleaned up.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah. No, I love this story. I'm not sure I've heard this one before. But yeah, that is great.
I will say one thing though. By the end of the week, I think this kid was probably the cleanest kid there, because this particular camp has an incredible water slide. Oh yeah, and I don't know how many times this kid went down that water slide, but you can't go down that water slide as many times as he did without getting clean.
Right.
Now, I did learn later on in the week that this kid came from a family that wasn't too far away, and that his parents owned a salvage yard.
Hmm.
And that apparently he and his sister showed up at camp looking pretty much like twins.
Yeah.
And so maybe that explains, some of the dirt and grime that were on these kids. But like I said, by the end of the week, he was clean. I think I also heard that they had to replace the filter in the pool there and possibly the pump. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, it all
Yeah.
comes out in the wash.
Or hell comes out in the wash. Well, I mean, what a just a great challenge and reflection, and I would imagine too, what a great memory for those campers too to be able to make those kind of share those moments with you. And I love that, and I'm sure we will come back to these camp stories again and again. And it's funny to me how not funny, it's not the right word, but I love how God just uses these moments to kind of like shape you and your ministry and just to reflect back on I don't even know what season it was, but when you were at a camp and saw someone use the creative arts
Mhm.
to, share the love of Christ and how that
Yeah.
has drastically influenced you. And here we are so many years later, continue to have these conversations, but also, um, you know, how many camps have you ministered in over the last 50 years? I mean, it's countless, right? So
It
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yep.
that's pretty
I
great.
love camps. I really do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Same here. All right. Well,
So yeah, I don't know if do you know why you should never write with a broken pencil?
oh, I don't know.
It's pointless. Okay.
I love it. I'm hoping people are sticking around for these dad jokes because,
All right. See you next week.
yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, let's put it in park here on a nice light note and we'll pick it up again next week.